All right. What's going on, everybody? Association Podcast. Got me and Kyle here on a Sunday night recording. Um, week one of the NBA season is officially over. The NBA fantasy season officially over. Killer, man, how was your Christmas?
Christmas was good, man. A lot of good time spent with the family. The oldest was filled with joy with all the gifts, um, and the youngest, yeah, she had a blast as well. And we were in pajamas and enjoying new gifts. And Dad was watching basketball for as much as he could. um, you know, Unfortunately, the games were not close. However, got to see some of the most intriguing players.
Yeah. It was not a exciting. It was an exciting day, of basketball and everything. But the games were not as competitive as you would hope. Um, but we just wrapped up the first week. What'd you think of the first week?
The first week was everything could have imagined and more. You just had crazy numbers just out of the gate. Um, Ja with his career high, 40 plus points. Rozier,
Hmm.
comes out of nowhere with another 40 points. Um, KD looks like KD. Kyrie's efficient, as hell. Tatum's hitting game winner threes off glass. Um, the Warriors look lost as hell, with with
Yeah,
one of
they
the
look.
Splash Brothers down for the season. Um, it's just been a little bit of everything, and I mean, we just learned today that the Cavs are about to be 3-0. Anything is possible this
Yes,
fantasy season.
yes, yeah. The Cavs 3-0 so far. I've got Garland on my team, so I've been watching a little bit. Um, who's been? I'm mad I didn't have him in my lineup, but he'll be there next week
Yeah.
for sure. Um, and so we got a few things to get into. We haven't touched on or really talked much about the free agency period, the auction draft. We should cover that a little bit, and then also we'll touch on our first really our too early rankings for the association, our power rankings post free
Mhm.
agency. And we're not going to take it into effect week one just because we just weren't paying attention to that stuff while we considered the first round of power ranking. So where do we start, man? You want to start with the draft? Any thoughts on the free agency period?
The free agency period kind of went with as expected, right? It was like only a small pool of players, and a lot of teams with a lot of money. So a lot of guys went for you know big contracts or big prices, and so it drove up the price for some of the guys which are really good in say two or three categories. What were your overall thoughts?
Yeah, it did go kind of as expected. We saw a couple of bidding wars. I wasn't expecting for some of the players to land where they did. Uh, for example, Anthony Davis going to True Grit. Um, I mean, I can't remember how much or had the most money in the draft, but um, I think I was kind of looking to see, keeping my eye on Cranston Killers and Bimtown Celtics to see if they were gonna go all in and go for Davis, but Looks like True Grit, who probably maybe had the most money. I'm not, I can't, I won't say that with 100% certainty, but um,
He
they,
was definitely within the top three.
yeah, then they handed Davis the bag 150 with and then went I believe snagged, who was it after. I think they were out of it for a while, but I thought
Yeah,
they
well,
got
they
I
got
thought they came with two people. No, maybe not. Maybe it was just Davis.
yeah.
That was the
And then
only big
later they
name.
were able to get yeah. They got some like bench slash promising high upside players like you had Baisley, which was
Yeah,
coming off a great performance in the bubble, and Alec Burks, right? Like we seen what he's been able to do on the Knicks so far this season.
yeah, it's been good.
With his ability to shoot and um,
Yeah, you're right. I
so
think the next, I think after Davis, it was like, guys like Derrick Rose and Nerlens Noel and like you mentioned Baisley and Burks. Burks for $1 was probably a nice pickup. Nice pickup for him. Um so yeah, that was interesting, I thought. Um but any anybody who jump out at you as you liking what they did during the draft?
um, I thought Cranston Killers had a fairly good draft. I mean, they got the other big player, LeBron James, paired him with Jared Allen. Um, got some shooting with Terrence Ross, and I think that helps solidify certainly the assist categories. The
Hmm.
rebounds, they're certainly going to be competitive. The threes were already there,
Hmm.
and that gets a little bit of a bump. Um,
Hmm.
and I mean, they just have assets to kind of move and trade. If things don't necessarily
Hmm.
work out with the roster they're putting together. One of the hardest things I will mention is when you do this kind of like small man type of builds, when you're building around these guards or these high percentage shooters, you don't have strong big men. The guards usually have about four categories that they're really well in. Whereas big men, they have upside up to five, right? If you can get the points. And so it'll be very interesting, what Cranston Killers looks like against, a team that's got some pretty dominant big men. Say, for instance, like Rucker Park Busters, right? So it's just something interesting, I think, to keep tabs on.
What'd you think about what the Flyers did? They came in with only two roster spaces, and then came away with Kawhi and then Chris Paul. Basically went all in with their budget. Spent a total of 181 on both of them combined.
Yeah, yeah, the Flyers. Yeah, I don't know that they necessarily had a game plan going in, with the exception of, I've got two players as you pointed, and they just want to have vets for the young guys, right? Right. So I think the hopes is that these veterans will teach these other young and up and coming potential fantasy superstars how to win. And the thing with winning, right? It gets contagious, right? So you add a player like Kawhi Leonard, who wins a lot of games. CP3, which is still playing at a very high level. You know, that some of these other guys start winning. I mean, we,
Hmm.
we haven't touched on it, but look at the way Markel Fultz has been playing. Right, he's been playing like the number one pick, this first week. So that's you know
Yeah,
watch out.
yeah. Yeah, I thought like I said, I was a little bit surprised. Maybe he didn't go for a one of go a little bit uh, deeper into the bidding war for Anthony Davis. Um,
Mm.
but I think he wanted to get maybe enough money to get two of the top tier players, and certainly came away with one. So, and then Chris Paul, like you mentioned, is still playing high quality basketball. So, um, okay, well, yeah, I think my overall thoughts were that that was a tough draft. I thought, um, people,
Mhm.
we didn't really see any like super bargains, guys that walked away with players that were like, "Ooh, that was like a good, a good deal for them, like, dollar value wise and everything." It was just like everyone was waiting for the players that they wanted, and I think they waited to see, who they were going to be bidding against, and people just let it rip. But for the most part, um, I thought, you know, I thought everyone did a pretty okay job with giving with the resources they had.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it now, and you know, I think I missed this,
Mhm.
during the draft, but Blake Express, I think had an incredible draft
Mm.
just across the board. I mean, getting Gordon Hayward for $28.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
I
got
agree.
you got um, Otto Porter. Probably not, but I mean, you've got upside with DeMarcus Cousins. Schroeder looks, re-energized and refocused, and he can play the full 72 games. And you picked up Wiseman, as a rookie. So I mean, it's certainly not a complete roster, but it's pieces that could possibly be moved to try to package and do an upgrade, or
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I see with Blake Express.
have.
I think they've got some
Mhm.
pieces that they can potentially move, and maybe bring in a bigger name, or do, or maybe even trade away some of these guys and get more pieces for future development. So we'll see which way Blake Express goes. I draft wise, I guess the team that I would say I like, some of what they did was, I like the CJ and the Robert Covington pickup by Midtown.
Mhm.
I also liked, um, I thought the Wiggins pick, um, at the time looked pretty good. $20 for Rucker Park, um, because they were coming in already with not a lot of roster spots, but um, they already had a stacked roster with Lonzo and Murray, Dejounte Murray, and Thomas Bryant, Drummond, Giannis, Drew Holiday. So they were just all about adding small pieces. Also added Josh Richardson for $5, and that's probably going to turn out to be a big addition for them.
Agreed.